All right. So let's spend a couple of minutes talking about the final exam. The goal over here is to give you guys a sense of the format of the exam, the topics that are going to be there. Uh, I think you guys are most interested in the format. So we'll get there. 30% of your grade is going to be our last class day, Thursday, August 19th. Exactly like the previous two exams, offered both in person and online. So you guys can be wherever you want. Uh, if you are taking a signals final exam, then I recommend you to be in the room uh, because it starts 10 minutes after this ends. So if you're in the room, I'll be in the room. What? 10 minutes is like a power nap time, right? Here, you have certain resources. Yeah, use allocate them appropriately. All right. So CANOS is clearly not that difficult of a material compared to signals and systems. So start slow, warm up, and then 10:30 it's game time. Yeah. All right, let's see. Thursday, August 8 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. I don't expect you guys to take the entire time, although I thought the same way about it last exam, and you did. So I don't know. You have 2 hours 15 minutes. Uh, I think a lot of you guys were just checking your work, which is absolutely fine. So you have 2 hours 15 minutes to do the exam. Offered both in person and online. Check if you're online, please check your submission on Gradescope. Do that really well. This is your last deliverable for this course for the semester. 30% of your grade. Please take that seriously. Um, open book, open notes, resources on Piazza. You can bring your laptop here, have that open to access the resources on Piazza. I will give you guys the MIPS reference sheet to use, or you can print it out if you want to. But essentially, open book, open notes. Next, during the exam, if you guys have any questions, so this is more or less for the online people. Go ahead. To check things for the like IEEE standard conversions. All right, so here, check it online. Don't do it online. Yeah, okay, sure. Because there's no way for me to sort of police that for the students that are online. So, sure. If you want to check it, I'm finding you. What? All right. I think you meant to. All right. So there's a two field there, right? So you have to change that to. Did I ask the question? No, I didn't ask the question. All right. So during the exam, if you're online, please send me a private message on WebEx meeting, and I'm going to be here all along. I will answer it. Be sure to show your work for each free response questions. For short answer, multiple choice questions, you don't need to show work, but definitely do that for the free response questions. For any question, if you have to make any assumptions, please state them clearly. Next, the content that is related. So this is a comprehensive final content from all the way to the beginning of the course to now is going to be included. CPU performance, your calculations about CPI, MIPS, CPU execution time, and so on. Go into that. MIPS assembly code. There's no secret there. You will have to use the reference sheet to write a program, or at least to look at the assembly code and tell me what it is doing and how you may be able to reduce the number of instructions. Next, your IEEE 754 32-bit and 64-bit representations of floating point numbers. And again, you can use an online calculator to check your answer, not to provide that answer. Next, the very interesting topic of pipelining, hazards and branch prediction, and then followed by several lectures on memory, including cache, virtual memory, memory hierarchy, page management, error correction, coherence. Looked at that after the exam. How do you create processes? So essentially fork and exec system calls. Next, you have inter-process communication using pipes. Process scheduling, so the FIFO, so first come first serve, shortest job first, those kind of process scheduling options that you had for assigning the CPU to a particular process. Then the last topic of deadlock. So these are the topics. How are you going to study? Lecture notes, homeworks and activities, sections from the textbook if you have the time. I don't expect you guys to be going through the textbook at this point, so close to the exam, but definitely have your lecture notes handy and take a look, right? Just go through them. Certain lectures are pretty straightforward, and I don't think you guys will be spending any time on those lectures, essentially referring to the ones that are current, like new lectures with operating system content. Nothing too critical, nothing too tricky, right? It's very, very straightforward content. But the ones that were for MIPS, right? Assembly code, pipelining, hazard, forwarding unit. So I think we saw that content a little bit ago. So try to refresh your memory, take a look at those slides again. And if there is some topic that you absolutely need some help with, maybe rewatching a video at a faster speed is going to cut it. Let's see, sections from the textbook again. Now, distribution of the exam. So when I write the exam, I'm going to try to evenly distribute it out for all the 3 sections. So the numbers are not consistent with our numbers here. But before midterm 1, 35% of the exam there, 35% between midterm and midterm 2, and 30% for the ones that you saw that are absolutely new after exam 2. So evenly distributed across the lectures. Format of the exam. Right now I'm planning for 8 short answer questions and 5 free response questions. The short answer questions will generally be, fill in the blank or multiple choice, or, select multiple answers or select one answer. Now, right now the exam is sort of being planned on this, but this could happen. This could change to maybe 10, and this could go down to 3 or 4. That could happen. But if that happens, then I'm essentially going to be assigning a little bit more weightage on the short answer questions. You may have more multiple answers situation. So you may have to do a little bit more work because you will have to check for more things with multiple choice, multiple correct answers. So that might end up happening. So that might increase, this will decrease, of course. What are some of the things that will obviously be there? Let me give you guys some hints. Banker's algorithm will be there, right? So I'll give you a state and then to try to figure out whether the deadlock exists or not. And if there is a deadlock, then tell me what processes are involved in the deadlock. There will be a there. Process scheduling, there will be a problem on that, right? So exactly the same as you guys have done for homework and even your activity. Inter-process communication, fork system call, pipe system call, questions are going to be there. For fork, the questions are pretty simple, right? You will have to think about, determine what number of processes that created in total, exactly like your homework problem. Let's see. With MIPS, there's a long question there. No points for guessing. Yeah. Um, there will be some questions about cache and memory hierarchy for the long ones, right? So these are for the long ones. I'm giving you certain ideas. The short ones are all over the place, so there's no real point. Okay, so well, let me just because this is going to be posted later. Let me highlight. Come on. So for long answer questions, the free response questions, those are the 6 topics that you guys want to focus on. What I'm hoping is the last 4 are not too tricky for most of you. The first 2 might require some looking up the previous content. Okay, so we get done on Thursday. I will start, I'll ask the TA to grade it. I don't know when final grades will be assigned. I'm hoping for this weekend to have everything ready, but it might take a couple of more days into the next week before grades get assigned. Questions, concerns? Good. So networking systems is something that I didn't cover. I've always tried to fight with that idea about how I can include that content. And it's sort of, so when Professor Zhang teaches this course, he usually has one lecture dedicated for networking. And I don't feel good about having one lecture which captures networking. Like that is sort of not here, not there. Yeah, so yeah, right. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in a way that will, you know, benefit you, not in the way that, yeah, I did it. So every time I've taught this course, I've sort of spent more time doing computer architecture and operating systems, and the networking aspect has taken a hit because of that. The other reason why I've sort of not done that is because if you are interested in networking and you go into computer communication networks, which is your next level course, they start at scratch. So they start at 0 in that course. So it really doesn't matter sort of, how I get saved there. Yeah, so yeah, there's one lecture in architecture, sorry, OS that I didn't do about file systems, but it is recorded. I was planning on assigning that as like an optional lecture that you guys can watch later. Not part of the final exam, but something that you can watch. It's an hour lecture played at 2x speed, 30 minutes, you're done. But just because I didn't cover it in class, I will not have that content on the exam. Right. I did. I posted it. Yeah, I posted a back exam. I did, right? Somebody tell me. I did. Right. So spring 2020 final back exam is there. Right. Oh, don't look at the time. Spring 2020 was a very interesting time. That was the beginning of COVID. So I was in a very good mood then. 12-hour exams. Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Yeah, and then you look around. Within a couple of hours with the start of the exam, I started seeing the questions on check. Yeah. Here, that was not even timed. I gave them a take-home exam for 12 hours. But in the real world, you don't go to your colleagues and ask for, hey, how do you do this? Oh, they will do it. The system is set up in such a way that people will do it. All right, I'm going to stop recording here. I know that you guys want to talk. Was that?